What's the crack, everybody? You listen to the Discus Laria Collective podcast. I'm your host, Warren, and I'm here with Glenn today. And we are basically just doing a quick, I suppose we're going to aim for max 10 minutes, quick review of Raw last night. It was the go-home edition before WrestleMania, the biggest show of the year. And boy, God, did it disappoint. So before we get into it, if you're watching this on YouTube, drop a like on the video, subscribe if you haven't already. And then wherever you get your podcasts, follow us on there. Really helps us out. So to get into it, I'll just read off. I have the results of the actual matches, and you can probably tell as I'm reading it, these are basically the exact same, if not mirrors, of the past few weeks' matches. So we have Xavier Woods defeated AJ Styles. We had Braun Strowman defeating Elias and Jackson Riker in a handicap match. We had Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler defeating Asuka and Rhea Ripley in a can they coexist kind of storyline thing, which we'll get into. We had Bobby Lashley defeat former Hurt Business member Cedric Alexander. We also had Matt Riddle defeat Mustafa Ali, and then the main event was Drew McIntyre versus Baron Corbin. So basically,
it was not a Raw superstar, might we add.
Exactly. So in terms of in-ring matches and stuff, nothing really stood out. And again, not knocking the performers, the matches just didn't have anything going for it. It's a shame being the go-home episode of Raw right before your biggest show of the entire year. It's a crying shame, really. And usually we'd say, like, at least SmackDown can carry it. It can't, because SmackDown has a WrestleMania edition of SmackDown. So you're going to have two actual WrestleMania matches on SmackDown. Same with NXT. NXT can't bulk it up, really, because NXT have their own event now tomorrow. So there was no wiggle room there. Raw should have knocked it out of the park. And if they knew they weren't going to, they should have given us something slightly different or continue to build them feuds. So there's only really two highlights from the show, so we'll just touch on them and then call it a day, really. So my standout of the night, whether it was segments or a promo, whatever you want to call it, was Bad Bunny. Bad Bunny absolutely smashed it last night. He's been killing it since he came in at the Royal Rumble. All he did was perform at Royal Rumble, and then he had a little instance then with The Miz where he attacked him, then he jumped off the top rope. This, I suppose you could say, long-term storytelling and stuff like that. That's grand, whatever you want to call it. According to Triple H, Bad Bunny has been at the Performance Center every day since the Royal Rumble, pretty much, and if not every day, every second day. And he's been working in ring, chatting to some of the guys and girls, just getting some nuances. So what do I do when I get in the ring here? Oh, the hard cam's here. Working on stuff that guys and girls should be doing consistently. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, it's not.
Roster should be taking fucking notes.
Exactly, yeah. Like, imagine having someone come in who's just a fan at the end of the day, and they're coming in and they want to put in a shift because they respect the business that much. And that's what I think is great. Whatever about he's getting a WrestleMania match, whatever about he's taking up time on the roster, on the main shows and stuff, he's actually providing a service here that's very enjoyable to watch. I feel him and Damian Priest have been a perfect partnership. It's great to see Damian Priest consistently on the TV, and in fairness, it's a testament to him as well, taking Bad Bunny under his wing almost and being like, you know what, yeah, look, we can make something work here. And Bad Bunny last night, though, he rocked up in a £3.5 million Bugatti, and it was a cool shot.
What did we talk about? About, I don't know if it was a week ago. What show was it we were saying about getting more eyes on the product? That could have been even last week's SmackDown or something. Like,
I think it was, yeah.
We raised this point on two separate occasions. I think it was the Shaquille O'Neal was one for AEW, and fucking someone in the comments will remind me or not. Probably last week's SmackDown about like being able to generate viewership and get Logan Paul. And we were saying the use of celebrity stature to get more eyes on the product. And as far as that being a successful venture, Bad Bunny, his current work ethic for a celebrity, it's fucking way better than Stephen Amell. It's been integral in WrestleMania specifically, but it's been integral in WWE, and I don't know that I've seen someone outside of maybe Mike Tyson or probably Floyd Mayweather, who is literally a celebrity, has nothing to do with the wrestling business, come in and be so well intertwined in the entertainment aspect of it, from the mad bump it was taken at Royal Rumble, and just how far along they've been able to tread this needle and keep it going. I didn't initially like it because I didn't know him. I'm not his demographic of an audience. I don't like him. That's fucking saying something. And we touched on this before the show. It shouldn't be biggest talking point of Raw that that's your best moment. But fair fucks that we at least got that, and fair fucks to Bad Bunny for the work he's been putting in, because it was great.
Yeah,
Can't fault them. As far as celebrity interactions go in WWE and in history's past, this one should go down as one of the better ones.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the thing, as you said, it's not something that, like, again, Bad Bunny was fantastic. He has been fantastic consistently since Royal Rumble now. But again, obviously, you have a roster of great guys in terms of wrestlers. Bad Bunny isn't, you don't want to hang your hat on that segment going into WrestleMania. Obviously, they ended up, that's what they did. And I'm glad we got it, because he really has put in a shift lately, whether it was the Royal Rumble bumps, whether it was coming in and out and like kind of distracting the Miz.
24/7 champ.
There you
go.
The
longer reigning ones as well.
Exactly, yeah. 24/7 championship he's had. He also then as well, last night, he arrived in the Bugatti. We had a segment then with Miz and Morrison painting all over it and stuff like that. Then we had a segment then where Bad Bunny found out and he was like, oh Jesus, and he was going mad. The boys attacked him. And then eventually then him and Damian Priest strolled down to the ring, Bad Bunny, and he cut a really good promo. Yeah, I suppose it was a bit long, but it was actually really good. And what I liked was the fact that obviously Drew McIntyre touched on it in his own promo at the start, and it was that heartfelt kind of thing. And that's what Bad Bunny was saying. He was like, I grew up watching wrestling. I grew up watching these pay-per-views with me dad, me brothers and stuff like that, my friends. And I've always had a respect for the business. And he actually shows it. He shows it week in, week out, that he has respect for the business, in my eyes anyway. And again, not knock on any other celebrities or nothing like that. Like you might see, say, Mike Tyson on AEW a few months back where he's yawning and falling asleep and stuff. Again, he's there for a paycheck. It feels like Bad Bunny's there because it's something fresh. It's something to sink his teeth into. And he seems to be that kind of, he has that work ethic, as you said. So he did really well. Great promo from the guy. I'm not going to lie to you. You can actually ask me, Mrs. I've been listening to a few of his songs recently. I don't know. He's calling to me as well.
He got you. He got you.
He got, yeah, palm of a hand job. But Jesus. But yeah, so savage promo by him. A great promo by Damian Priest as well. Actually, yeah, it was only a short one.
Yeah.
Great promo by Damian Priest. So that's now a tag match at WrestleMania. And then the only other thing that actually stood out to me, like in terms of, I suppose that I'd call, that was actually really good. And if I hadn't missed Raw, I would have went back and watched it, was actually the Riddle and Ali match was great. Again, it didn't really give us anything new, anything to kind of, as we said, sink their teeth into, because they don't have a match at WrestleMania. Sheamus on commentary was fantastic. Again, that's not just Irish bias. He obviously threw in some like kind of like Dublinisms or whatever you want to call them, like, you know what I mean? But I thought it was great when he first sat down. Samoa Joe turned around, he's like, oh, what's the crack, Sheamus? And he's like, the crack is mighty. And I was like, that is deadly.
Yeah.
That's something obviously for us to kind of laugh about, because that's nice to hear. But fair balls for Samoa Joe to go out there and just throw that out. But the only other thing then that really stood out was probably Drew McIntyre's promo at the start of the show.
That was it. Yeah, I was going to say that was the only other meaningful thing to take on from Raw. We're not going to touch on the negatives too much. Obviously, the women's tag team, we knew that was going to be a throwaway.
Yeah.
Desperately needs to fucking shake up. Everything's sunk to the bottom a little bit there. Just looking forward to the singles match at this point.
Yeah, apart from that, though, Raw was fairly quiet, fairly, I suppose, paint by numbers almost. All the matches, predictable winners. But like it's actually funny, because I actually had the results typed out for the Instagram post. Every time a match started, I just type out who I thought would win, and I got them all right. Bar the tag team one, I thought Shayna Baszler was going to eat a pin. Do you know what I mean? That was another good segment though as well, with the likes of Rhea Ripley basically pulling up the heel moment there by attacking Asuka, throwing her into the ring then for Nia Jackson Baszler to pick the bones. But apart from that, really, really poor go-home edition of Raw. And it's very funny, because we were only talking about how bad the go-home edition of Raw before Elimination Chamber was. And we were like, you could never get as bad as that. And I think they actually have, which is a shame. Before that big
January was, I think, the best month of Raw and excitement around the Rumble.
Yeah, that's the thing. Look, I'm still looking forward to Mania. It's just, it was like, if Mania had had a really poor card, that kind of episode of Raw would have turned you off, to be honest with you. Like, thank God we have some great matches now at Mania. I'm just hoping they all deliver. So we'll call it a day here. That was our Raw recap. What we'll do is we'll be back here tomorrow anyway. We're finally going to drop our WrestleMania predictions, all three of us. Going to be good. Tune in for that. If you're watching it on YouTube, as I said, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, because you don't want to miss that. I'm sure that would be a laugh. All three of us kind of getting pumped for WrestleMania together, so that'd be good. And then, wherever you listen to your podcasts, give us a follow on all your platforms, and then hit us up on the socials. Adidas Lariat on Twitter, Discus Larry Collective on Instagram. And then until next time, boop, we'll see you soon.
Take it easy.